welcome back to the Bombastic StarLeague Season 20 with me in the caster booth. Today I'm joined by RZ Dahaki. How are you doing, Mr. Dahaki?
I feel amazing. I'm running on 2 hours of sleep and I'm ready to go all day.
Good. Yeah, I heard you're good at running on empty, so hopefully those fumes can get you high enough and in the right kind of frame of mind to do some crazy ZVZ action, because we're starting right off the bat with Sziky versus JDConan. So, I mean, who do you think about these two guys is going to be? I mean, my money would obviously be on Sziky. I just think he's such a Zerg versus Zerg specialist. Although, if we take a look at the brackets now, we have had a little bit of upsets as well throughout this whole tournament bracket. So, I mean, what's your predictions?
Yeah, I mean, Sziky is like a clear favorite, right? But it is ZVZ. I know some players do have, decent win rates. You got JDong. JDong was famous for it, right? Like, JDong was famous for being able to win ZVZ, but typically it's a relatively even matchup. It's like a very 50-50 build order-oriented matchup when the skill levels are equal. So Sziky, he does have a crazy high win rate ZVZ actually here in BSL. That's pretty insane. So very clearly, he's going to be favored in this matchup, but JDConan, obviously no slouch, can definitely pull it off, I think.
Yeah, no, and as to what you were saying about JDong, I mean, what made him such a monster in that Zerg mirror matchup was the fact that once he got a tiny lead, he would never let it slip through his fingers. He's so good at snowballing tiny advantages into an ultimate win. I'm sure someone like Sziky can also do a similar thing here, despite being a foreigner player. I think both players will be ready in just a few moments. We can see the first map's going to be Eclipse, which is Sziky's pick, then RADEON, which is Conan's, Deja Vu, again Sziky's, Pstar, Conan's, and then Metropolis as the decider match. Death Valley was banned by Sziky and Dominator banned by JDConan. I mean, I'm super looking forward to this. It's been a long time coming to have some good Zerg versus Zerg action. Both players are ready. We're jumping into game number 1, Sziky versus JDConan. Let's get it on. Spawning here in the top right as the red Zerg, Sziky, the Hungarian dragon.
And spawning here in the bottom left, his opponent on Eclipse, we have JDConan.
Now, Conan's been kind of coming up in the world, right? Like, he's really improved these last 2 years. I'm super curious how good his ZVZ is going to be up against someone like Sziky. Oh, having a little bit of optimization issues with his drones. I hope he's not too nervous. He knows how good Sziky is in this mirror. Might have a little bit of jitters finding his comfort zone now. Yeah,
a little bit of misclicking there. Could be like you said, jitters. Maybe hands a little bit cold, especially when you're getting like the adrenaline going and stuff. Your hands can freeze up on you. So hopefully it does work through. If he is feeling some nerves, gets through that. I'm not very surprised to see that Eclipse is our first map here. I feel like Zerg players typically kind of want those 2-player maps as much as possible, because you don't really want to be like on the unlucky side of getting first scout versus not first scout. It can actually be kind of a big deal.
Oh, it absolutely is a big deal, and you can never really predict what the Overlord scouting pattern will be on those 4-player maps. There's a lot of reverse scouting and what have you with the Overlord, so you never quite know where your opponent is, even if you do try and read into where they might send their Overlords early on. It looks like a pretty quick gas and pull build here from Sziky, but Conan, I mean, he's not taking his gas at all yet. He's just kind of chill.
Mix up.
I mean, Sziky's not taking his gas at all. This is interesting. So, I mean, this is definitely optimizing for a bit of a later lair timing, trying to squeeze out a few extra drones, be a little bit on the greedy side as Sziky, whereas Conan trying to optimize for much crisper tech timing here.
Yeah, it's toll pull versus overpull, right? Pretty sure is what it was. So
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be slightly more mineral optimization for Sziky. Gonna be able to get that hatchery down. I don't know a whole lot about ZVZ, guys, so I do apologize. I'll try my best here, but I imagine this is like slightly Sziky favored, right? He's gonna have the stronger economy. He's not being pressured. Like, there's nothing for him to be pressured by, right? So he'll get away with this hatchery.
Right. The only way that this could be Conan favored is if Sziky does speed into lair, has a very late Spire, and as a result, tries to go for Spores to try and defend against the lair timing of Conan, which means there's an opportunity. If Conan squeezes out a drone and gets a second macro hatchery, he could do a Ling Flood and try and overwhelm Sziky's Spore timing. So it's predominantly just Lings versus Lings, and there'll be much less Lings available for Sziky in that case. But overall, this is a Sziky favored opening.
Yeah, he is opening speed first, so I feel like he's gonna kind of put pressure on himself to put pressure on Conan now, right? Because his lair is gonna be a lot faster. I mean, I guess he could play defensive like you're saying and get Spores up, but he'll have access to that extra larva, so he might be able to lean on Conan just a little bit here in the early game. And he actually took off of gas. Oh no, sorry, he started his lair, right? Or no, we're barely mining gas.
Yeah, no, he's optimizing a little bit here. He's trying to, because he made this hatchery. You know, he's kind of like being a little bit slower on his gas mining. It's not super uncommon. It helps with your mineral optimizations a lot. It depends on what you're trying to go for here. It does seem like Sziky wants to flood Lings with pretty much every single lava, so it makes sense to cut a little bit of gas here and just make sure that he's going to be super safe against any run buys while also applying pressure.
Yeah, and Conan trying to be a little bit sneaky with these 4 Lings out behind. Sziky going to come up this ramp and kind of test, and it's very hard to break this defensive position. You kind of want to find like little angles that you can kind of find where your Lings can fight without being hit by multiple Lings, but it's pretty tight to do.
Right, you're kind of looking for like 2-on-1 trades, create an opening. Oh, but 2 drones potentially going down. This is a massive win for JDConan early on. One of the disadvantages for Sziky taking this expansion is there's no real way of walling this in without a crazy amount of Zerglings, and definitely Conan's found the exploitation, and honestly, Sziky's lead starting to slip through his fingers in quite a significant fashion.
Yeah, I'm starting to get worried for Sziky. He's going to have to go into Spore now, right? Because he's so far behind on gas. It's hard to imagine he's going to be able to compete in the air.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the Spire. Looks a little bit too late to defend. Yeah, I don't know. I think Sziky might have to make Spores. The only thing going for Sziky is that it's still 1 hatchery versus 2. So Sziky does have production advantage the longer this goes on, but there is a tiny window to punish because JDConan can apply pressure with his Zerglings for Sziky to make a few extra pair of Lings and not replace those 2 drones while taking his own expansion now, and obviously has a much faster Spire timing and a significant pool of gas to utilize.
Yeah, I feel like this is the part that's really hard for Sziky. Like, he does have access to the extra larva, which is nice for him, but losing those 2 drones makes it where he kind of can't really go into Evo and Spores, right? Because we just don't have the drone count to realistically do that.
Yeah, he's going to probably try and force the Mutas to chase his own Zerglings, and then the Mutas will be delayed a few seconds from actually going into Sziky's base. But there is in reality, even though it's forced cross positions, these Mutas could get like 1 or 2 drones easy before there's the danger of Mutas hatching out on top of you. He might better get the Scourge out just barely in time after 1 drone goes down, but with 3 Mutas, you can start to snipe those Scourge.
Yeah, Sziky is going to put pressure on this hatchery and is going to be able to deny that at least, so that's really nice for him. And Larva is like a very important resource in this matchup as well, right? Like, drones obviously super important, they're all like super valuable, but Larva is a really, really big deal. And does Conan have a sunken behind this? Because he's getting broke here on the ramp. Yeah, there's no sunken.
He's going to do some drone drilling. Here comes the Scourge, and like I said, with 3 Mutas, you can start to one-shot those. Couple of drones going down already with perfect micro. Sziky's in a great position, but he is losing some drones to these Zerglings back at home as well. Bit of a weird situation here. There's only like 5 or 6 drones left remaining for Conan, but he had a window to kill a lot of Sziky's drones. When all said and done, it actually doesn't look too bad for Sziky. He does have the 2 hatchery production. Getting the cancel on that hatchery of Conan was a really big deal because now we can flood Scourge and utilize this lava advantage in a big way.
Yeah, I see him take this extractor, and at first I was very confused about why we're not canceling this, but he's just going to go really heavy Scourge, right? He's not going to replace these drones hardly. He's just going to go crazy on the Scourge. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, it's going to come down to micro, whether or not JDConan can actually snipe these Scourge before they find the connections. 2 Mutas already dangerously low. Here comes their attempt with the Scourge now to zone out the Mutalisk. With perfect micro, JDConan's in a pretty good spot still. Does manage to lose one of those Mutas already, but killing a few Overlords here. I mean, it's not necessarily the biggest deal because it won't actually supply Sziky, but Sziky will never be able to replace these Overlords in terms of his mineral count and lava optimization. So if he does somehow kill 2 more Overlords, it will be a real big problem for Sziky. But Sziky being very smart with some Ling run-bys here, forcing Mutas to be pinned down in the main base of Conan, as well as potentially killing 2 drones, just 1, almost gets the second.
Yeah, that's scary. I mean, in this matchup too, like, especially in the current game state, every drone is so precious right now. So even losing the one drone is pretty brutal.
Ooh, this is great for Sziky. He's finding the connections with the Chase Micro and gets the Scourge. He has got a lower Mutalisk count, but JDConan has to respect the possibility of being zoned out by those Scourge and chased down. There is now like a 30-second timing window where JDConan has total air superiority. He needs to apply pressure to Sziky right now. He could close out the game with good micro, catches one of those Scourge as it pops out of the egg. So now this is looking pretty powerful for JDConan. Sziky, though, with a free shot on the exit. From JDConan's Mutalisk, still with a disadvantage is Sziky. So JDConan should be able to close out this game with micro. Let's see if Sziky's got any answers. I don't think so. It looks like JDConan's done it, and he's on top of Sziky's Mutas now. There's not much comeback potential for Sziky, and here comes a few extra Scourge to put the nails in the coffin.
GG. Conan gonna take this first game. Nice to see. I mean, we were talking about this a little bit before we started the cast. We could easily see some upsets, and this is potentially the start of one right here. JDConan going to take that first game and take a 1-0 lead.
I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, it's such a big tempo shift. I'm sure a big confidence booster for JDConan as well. If he was having a little bit of doubts, he seemed a little bit jittery at the start of that game with his drone optimization, a few misclicks. So now we might even be seeing a stronger JDConan in these future games now that he's established himself in this lineup, and we'll have a lot more mojo to fight with. We still got quite a few maps available for Sziky to get a comeback going, but this is a great start to this series. JDConan winning on the map that even Sziky picked.
Yeah, I really like seeing that from Conan. He being able to having the like slight build order disadvantage and being able to find that advantage. This is one of the things that separates the good players from the bad players, right? Getting him those 4 lings and killing 2 drones and only losing 1, like this was such a massive moment, I feel, for Conan, because it basically undid any eco advantage Sziky had, and then because of the layer timing as well, right? The muta tempo, he gets extra damage there as well, and yeah, great pressure from Conan.
Yeah, no, I was really shocked to see him do so well against Sziky. I mean, he's definitely been improving a lot as a player these last year or two. Would love to see him go all the way here and cause a massive upset. He could potentially knock out Sziky, which would be absolutely bonkers insane. I'm sure a lot of people would have had their money on Sziky at the start of this series. I know I was thinking that way too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially after Sziky did so well in the upper bracket. Right, he almost took down some like really strong players, so you kind of expect Sziky to get really far into the tournament at this point. But JDConan might be pulling off the upset here.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully Sziky can keep his head in the game, not let that phase him. He's a real big monster in this matchup and a favorite overall. And it is a bit of a knife fight in a phone booth between 2 monkeys. So I mean, anything can happen in ZVZ at the end of the day. I'm sure the Hungarian Dragon has got something up his sleeve for this next game. It's going to be RADEON, guys. Let's get it on. Spawning here in the top right, looking to redeem himself. It's Sziky as the red Zerg, the Hungarian Dragon. Such a good Mutalisk micro user. He needs to showcase that here today to get one over JDConan, though.
And spawning here in the bottom right, taking that first game, pretty solid win. We have JDConan. Any jitters that he may have had could be gone at this point. I mean, you win a game like that, you're going to be feeling pretty confident. Just, got to do it one more time.
Hopefully it doesn't lead to complacency, but I mean, I'm sure it won't. I mean, I'm sure that's like a big weight off his mind. Like, ooh, I thought this matchup was going to be really one-sided, and all of a sudden, hang on a minute, I might be able to take this guy down.
Yeah, for sure. It's always good to see it. I was actually talking with someone about I was talking about this morning with Remap about when you go up against someone that you believe to be better than you and you don't have that confidence, you'll play worse, right? Because you're just so convinced you're going to lose. But JDConan not showing any signs of backing down from his opponent. It's really good to see.
Yeah. No, I'm liking it so far. And you're absolutely right. It's almost like you defeat yourself mentally before you've even begun. And it happens so much in practice as well. If there's like a guy you never quite beat very often, you will play worse against him, even worse than you would someone else, just because you kind of expect yourself to lose, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like I played some games against Bonnet yesterday, and it's like I went into the games and I'm like, well, I'm not going to bother doing anything because he's better than me, so there's no point. He's just going to block it.
Yeah, it's very defeatist attitude, Ozzy. You got to be a little bit more, confident and motivated, because you never know, you might surprise yourself.
In-base 12 hatch from Sziky.
Okay. I mean, I like it. It's ambitious, but I like it.
Yeah, and this is against 12 pools, so this is kind of like a slight Sziky favorite opening again, right?
Yeah, no, honestly, it can very much well be. It does come down to a few factors. I mean, JDConan could secure his expansion and have a gas advantage later on. But, I mean, early game, this is definitely going a little bit more Sziky-sided.
Yeah, if you're doing in-base 12 hatch, you can inform me. Is this good against a 9 pool for? Oh, we're doing a.
Wow. Okay, this is very unorthodox. So he can make this look like you're just a normal 12 pool into fast muter, but then actually flood lings. The problem is that, I mean, Sziky does have 2 hatcheries of his own. So, I mean, this won't be as crazy as it should be. Like, if Sziky was doing a 12 pool of his own and that kind of thing, maybe this would have a lot of value. I do like the idea from JDConan, though. Hidden hatcheries are a great way of surprising your opponent in ZVZ, and I'm happy to see he at least has that in his range of play.
Yeah, it's good to see him not shying away from mixing it up immediately here after getting that first win. You kind of see a lot of this in Series 2, where someone gets that first game and they kind of get like almost a semi-throwaway game, but it's not exactly throwaway, because it also, even if you lose the game, it kind of puts that little bit of worry in your opponents, right? It gives them something else to think about. So even if you end up losing for builds like this, it still makes your opponent uncomfortable going in the next game. Like, oh, is he going to try something else crazy, or is he going to play standard again? Like, now he has to worry about it.
Right, it's just like playing against a crazy poker player. You never really know what they're doing. They seem loose and crazy. You can never quite pin them down to one type of meta or strategy, and it's very hard to coordinate against someone like that. Definitely could help him out in the future of this series, obfuscating what he is potentially going to be pulling out of his sleeve next. Sziky, though, with this in-base 12 hatchery, will be pretty much safe against everything. So I doubt this will necessarily catch him off guard unless he's overly aggressive with his Zerglings and gets caught off guard with a run-by or something.
Yeah, so game state going to be slightly even. Okay, I was wondering if Sziky was going to be making drones or keep pumping lings, but they're both kind of doing the same thing. They're pumping a bunch of lings and kind of hiding them behind their wall, and they're going to end up clashing, and really nothing's going to get done here. It should pretty much even out.
Yeah,
although
I mean,
Conan's Fire is actually going to be pretty late now.
Right, there was a chance that Sziky not seeing these Zerglings would have then been a bit more aggressive himself, and that could have opened himself up to something happening, but he saw all of those Zerglings with his scouting overlord, so Sziky will probably not even try and come down his ramp for quite some time now.
Yeah, he's going to see all these lings floating across and just be happy to sit here in the defensive position. Of course, he doesn't know the exact timing of Conan's Spire, but he is going to get in with this Ling and actually catch that timing, so that'll be a really nice confirmation for him to really see what his position is.
Ooh, yeah, the scouting Ling is a pretty big deal. It's unfortunate because Sziky's kind of really metagaming JDConan here. He's trying to hide the majority of his Lings, make JDConan think he's doing better than he is, so he's more likely to build more Zerglings back at home as well, and kind of just, give him a bit of false hope in this game, when really he's got the exact answer to what JDConan's bringing in game number 2.
Yeah, it's actually really nice what he did there, because by hiding these Lings slightly out of vision, it made Conan feel like he was breaking through, right? So he kind of kept taking suboptimal trades, thinking he's breaking through, and then he's going to be like, oh, there's a ton of Lings back here.
Yeah, I mean, this is not ideal, to say the least. We'll have to see what happens next, but I have a feeling that Sziky might just be able to run over JDConan now. Like, there's a chance that he can't even hold his ramp against this.
Oh, it's not even blocked properly, right? So the Lings get in, they're going to clean this up, and while Conan's dealing with this Ling pressure, there's also mutas building behind us, so...
And his Spire is not even quite done yet, just now finishing. Already Zerglings able to get on top of those eggs as they're producing Zerglings. Not much hope here for JDConan. The writing's on the wall for him. Drones are going down. Yeah, definitely going to have to be tapping out here. Quick equalizer from our Hungarian Zerg, re-establishing his dominance in this series, Ozzy.
Yeah, well played by Sziky. Again, getting that kind of slight build order advantage and making very good use of it, baiting Conan into a bad fight, getting the faster Spire, everything like that. So really well played by Sziky. Kind of gets rewarded for playing defensive this game. JDConan looking for something a little bit more aggressive, and unfortunately, Sziky had the answer.
Yeah, he basically completely blind counted him. It's a little bit unfortunate that the time that JDConan pulled that build out was the one time that we saw that build from Sziky. I think Sziky does like to mix it up quite a lot in ZVZ. You know, he's definitely kind of like a 3-card Monty kind of guy, and will rotate around, you know, taking a 12 pull, taking a 9 pull, taking a 12 hatch in base. He will always mix it up like that and keep you guessing what's coming next.
Yeah, I mean, we've already got 2 completely different builds from both players in the first 2 games, so it kind of makes the games a little bit more kind of a wild card, right? Because now you have no idea, like, neither one of them are going to be confident what their opponent's doing, because it's just been 2 completely different builds so far.
Yeah, and it'll probably continue to be that way for at least the majority of this series. Next map's going to be Deja Vu. That's also one of Sziky's pick. So, I mean, let's take a quick look at the brackets. Was there anything there that surprised you, by the way? Like, was there any match in particular? I think the Bonif versus DeWalt was probably the biggest upset for me.
Looks like our players are ready, so I'll get back to that question in just a moment. We're going to hop into Game 3 here between Sziky and Conan on Deja Vu.
And spawning here in the top right, as the Blues are currently equalizing the series 1-1. It's Sziky from Hungary.
And his opponent spawning in the bottom right, our Zerg player, JDConan. All right, quickly before we see what unfolds here, to answer your question, yeah, I do feel like it was kind of like a semi-upset. I mean, obviously, I did expect DeWalt to win because of, you know, the play time between them, but Bonif does kind of have DeWalt's number in, you know, the history of things. So it's like an upset that isn't a surprising upset, if that even makes sense.
Okay, I was just surprised in the fashion that it was done. You know, like, it was a really convincing series from Bonif, and it seemed like he really got under DeWalt's skin in that series, which I thought was a little bit surprising. Yeah,
I agree with that completely. Maybe not the result so much an upset as the way that it happened. I can completely agree with that. Yeah,
it's exactly what I was alluding to. Let's see here. Oh, quick gas from JDConan. Okay. Gas overpool kind of build, maybe.
Yeah, so this just signals that we're going for a really fast layer, right?
Pretty much, yeah. He wants to get a gas advantage and try and win in the air later on. The longer the game goes on, it's not always as optimal to play this way, but there are usually quite a few timings where you will have just simply more gas than your opponent, which obviously equates to either more Scourge or more Mutalisks, and that gives you a small window of superiority.
Yeah, and it's going up against the 12 pull again from Sziky. So Sziky going back to his first build. We'll see if he goes for layers first this time or speed first. I feel like if he goes for speed first again, it's going to make the timing even tighter because that Spire is going to be even faster from Conan.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what Sziky wants to go for. Seems like a pretty normal opener thus far. Definitely favoring his economy more than his tech. Getting this hatchery down before he's even started mining gas. We'll be playing the role of defender here, at least in regards to his air units, but with the extra hatchery early on, certainly could apply pressure on the ground with Zerglings to JDConan. And JDConan will be struggling a little bit more with minerals than usual thanks to optimizing this extra gas.
Yeah, we'll see how Conan ends up defending Sziky. Again, gonna have that access to the extra larva and stuff, so he will have that bigger ling count. And did we go for... Okay, we did actually go for speed first again, so yeah, it's basically the same situation as the first game, but with a faster layer from Conan. And it's unlikely he's going to get 2 more drone kills this time, right? So,
I mean, you think so, but anything can happen. You know, BSLs, it can be a wild place to play sometimes, and you know, fireworks can occur. We'll have to wait and see. But I would have to imagine it's not going to be happening quite so much in the same fashion as it did on Game 1 on Eclipse. Yeah,
it'll be pretty interesting to see how Sziky responds to the faster layer. And really, I guess he's not going to be able to identify that for a long time, though.
That's the big thing, is that he's not scouted Conan at all. He knows where Conan is in a few seconds, but now he has no way of checking that. Like, it's going to take such a long time for that scouting overlord to get down into the bottom right corner. there's just no real way of knowing what it's going to be. He kind of has to check the natural with the Zergling to even identify it's a one-base tech play to begin with, let alone optimizations were used.
Yeah. Yeah, I did, you know, from the little bit of ZVZ that I did play on ladder, this is so uncomfortable when like you see your opponent seeing you and you're completely blind, like because you started thinking you're like, well, he's gonna counter what I'm doing. He can see everything I'm doing. I can't see him. Like, how do I respond? But he can respond. Like, it starts feeling so unfair.
Yeah, and then sometimes that's why people do the reverse scout intentionally. Can make it harder to figure out where your opponent is, and you can identify, say if you want to go for a 12 hatchery in your natural and you reverse scout to where their overlord is coming to check your natural, you can just stop taking the 12 hatch and take a 12 pull instead to optimize and prevent any 9 pull speeds overwhelming you, that kind of thing. But already some good trades here from Sziky. He's looking to break through, does get a couple of Zerglings in. JDConan blocking him so far, though. One Ling getting into the main mineral line to try and force a bit of a distraction. There is a superior count of Zerglings here for Sziky. With good micro, he will break through. JDConan in a little bit of trouble now. Not only will these Lings fall, but potentially drones.
Yeah, there was a big micro gap there. JDConan wasn't on hold position, and he lost 2 Lings immediately, coming down that ramp a little bit, and then he kept chasing down the ramp a couple of times. Sziky took some good angles, got some good fights, so gonna have to make the Sunken and sit defensively on the Sunken for a little bit, but Sziky gets confirmation of the Spire timing. Gonna throw down Spores because he knows that he's way too late on his own Muta.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that Sziky didn't try and poke in there with the 4 Lings and try and at least force some lost drone mining time, but he's going to wait for more Lings to join up. And now he sees the bad news that this was a pretty crisp Spire timing, and we'll have these Mutalisks chasing down his Zerglings a little bit. He's going to be going into Spores as a scouting Zergling of JDConan, making its way into the main base of Sziky now to confirm that Spire has just now popped for Sziky. But we'll have to rely on these first 2 Spores to prevent critical damage from these initial Mutalisks of Conan.
There's a drone, which is a nice start. I liked his decision to skip that Overlord at first. So he saw the Overlord down there and decided not to kill it because he saw with his Lings that the Spores weren't up yet. These Lings going to dive on top of Conan. Looks like they killed 1 drone and maybe 2 even. Okay, it was 1.
Just think 1, yeah. He made a Sunken, so it looks like he's got a lower drone count than he should have. But yeah, he just didn't have that many drones to begin with.
Yeah, so he's got these Mutas sharking around. Did take a couple hits from the Scourge, it looks like, or 1 hit anyway. So 1 Muta very low. And gonna go looking for these Overlords now. Actually gonna find 1 here on the bottom side as well. If he gets both Overlords, that really hurts for Sziky.
Oh, it's a big deal. He just needs to not let these Scourge connect with his Mutalisks for free. There's 2 Scourge currently about to connect. Does kill 1 Mutalisk. That's a pretty big deal. I mean, the Overlords are now dead for... Oh, he killed the Overlord with the Scourge. Look at the supply block of JDConan. He can't produce anything with only 1 hatchery. That's actually a really big tempo swing for Sziky going forward now. He's on 18 out of 18, so he can't really produce anything himself. Looks like both players racing to kill one another's Overlords. There is more air superiority for JDConan. Trying to equalize, though, is Sziky. With these 3 Zerglings, kills 1 more additional drone. Doesn't quite find the target fire on another. A bit of a weird situation. We have Spores up for Sziky, but quite a high count of Mutalisks, so we could just dive into the main and start sniping 1 or 2 drones here or there. Even the Zergling can put a clock on this Spore, and he zones out the Mutas into the natural. He's being super annoying to Sziky.
Running these 2 Lings by and then using the Mutas to cover the ramp, super annoying, like you said. Gonna get on top of the Spore. Oh, ooh, takes more. Oh my god. Taking all the Scourge hits.
StarCraft is a hard game, man. The micro is insane, but does manage to clear out that Spore. Now could take some pot shots at these drones. That Spore at the top doesn't fully cover the whole mineral line, only the first like 4 patches or so. So kind of Sziky forced to mine a little bit less minerals than usual, even able to kill some drones. Oh, does catch a Mutalisk on the exit though. Now Conan in a little bit of trouble after losing additional Muta. He can no longer one-shot these Scourge with just 2 Mutas. He's trying to get some compensation by sniping this Mutalisk, but he won't quite find the kill on that.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of jitters were sinking in there. He had a big advantage, but he's taken so many Scourge hits now, and now these Mutas are going to get cleaned up as well. Gonna get the moving... Yeah, there we go. Got the moving shot going now, so gonna be able to clean this Muta up.
Sziky's just so good, man. Like, he was totally in a deficit, and he's kind of coming better equalized. Nice micro from Conan, though. Does find a connection on that Mutalisk to kill it. keeps his hopes alive in this game. The longer this goes on, the better it is for Sziky, though. He will eventually start mining this second gas. It's just for the time being, he's in damage control mode. He did lose a few drones. Conan knows that he needs to keep the pressure applied to Sziky non-stop to not allow any additional drones to be made or the second gas, but it's still going to be a very tough hill for him to climb to take this game down.
Yeah, it's been a bit unfortunate for Conan. He had such a huge, like a dominant air control, right? But he just took so many Scourge hits, definitely missed microing or looking away even multiple times, and is he gonna dive on this Overlord again? I never know how I feel about this. Like, I know it can be very strong, especially when they're very limited on Larva like this, but
in that case, it made sense because if he didn't kill the Overlord, the Scourge would have been sniped by the Mutas and they wouldn't have killed anything, if that makes sense. So it's like, I'm going to kill your Overlord because if I don't, I just lose the Scourge anyway.
Yeah, those were doomed. I was thinking more about the early ones where he dumps multiple into the Overlords. I see it win sometimes, but it just, in my brain, it doesn't compute because it's like, you're spending gas on my minerals and this is all about the air dominance.
Of course. It does give you tempo if you've already got air superiority or you're trying to deny them from capitalizing on theirs. Sometimes it can be the right play, but I would say about 1 times in 4 is it an okay thing to go for. The majority of the time, it's not usually the optimal strategy. Depends entirely on like the build order openings and what the game state is. It's like Sziky trying to press his advantage now to get him to which Conan's does hatch out one single Mutalisk as this attack started. I'm not quite sure who's got the higher count of Mutalisk. Depends on the target firing as well. You can manually left click on the Mutas to find the weakened ones. Seems like JDConan with a slightly superior count, Sziky with a slightly superior count of Mutalisk does come out ahead on that fight. And even though the Scourge were finally able to join the fray, weren't actually able to get any value by zoning out the Mutas or catching one. So this is going more and more Sziky's way.
Yeah, I think Conan actually had 1, maybe even 2 more Muta for that fight, but when you click the Sziky's Mutas, you saw how much he was splitting his damage. He kept changing targets, and this is the reason he lost the fight so badly.
Oh, this is high-level CBC, yeah.
Usually you're ahead 1 or 2 Mutas, then you just kind of win, right? But Conan, unfortunately, like I said, he swapped targets multiple times, and that really came back to bite him.
In high-level ZVZ, if you're just standing and fighting, you'll spam left-clicking on every single Muta to find which has the lower HP, and you're always switching your targets up like that to try and capitalize. Oh, does catch one of the Mutas of Sziky with that Scourge. Still, though, in a little bit of a deficit with that 1 hatchery production. Second gas already mining for Sziky now, so it's 6 Mutas to 4 plus Scourge support. Conan in a lot of trouble as Sziky tries to seal the deal here, Ozzy.
Yeah, this is looking over. The thing about Muta versus Muta, it's typically a numbers game, so unfortunately, JDConan's number is smaller than Zyky's number, so Sziky gonna take this game and take the 2-1 lead.
Oh, even adjusting himself in the seat there. Maybe not feeling quite as comfortable as he did at the end of that game number 1 with that surprise victory on Eclipse. Now Sziky on game match point just needs 1 more win on the board to take the series down and completely annihilate this up-and-coming Zerg from the tournament completely. Can he get his nerves under control and equalize?
Yeah, I imagine that was a very frustrating game for JDConan. He knows he had a big lead there in the beginning, and he had to play it pretty well to take the win from there, and unfortunately made multiple mistakes. And yeah, Sziky gonna claw that one back. That's a feels bad loss for JDConan.
Yeah, it's a bad beat for sure. It is what it is. But I mean, it's ZVZ. Anything can happen. And as long as he keeps that kind of mentality going into this game number 4, he certainly could equalize and take it to a game 5 and give himself a fighting chance against this Hungarian Dragon, who's just such a monster in this matchup. And was it 91% against Zerg in his BSL record? That's insane.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. That's a scary number to look at.
I mean, I would be kind of shivering a little bit if I was in JDConan's shoes. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be like, oh god, how do I? His favorite Korean is Jaedong. It's like, yeah, the kind of stars are aligning to probably lose this game is what be going through my head.
Yeah, both players putting Jaedong up for their favorite Korean. I imagine most Zerg players, when they like their favorite Koreans, it's hard for Jaedong not to be a favorite. Even for me as a non-Zerg player, Jaedong was always the Zerg that I was rooting for.
Yeah, JDConan apparently Jaedong was his father, so maybe these are like 2 brothers that are currently fighting for the honor of their father and to see who's the worthier spawn of Zerg. Both players are ready, so let's jump into our game number 4 on Pstar. Let's get it, guys. Spawning here in the bottom right as the red Zerg looking to redeem himself, equalize things. It's JDConan.
And spawning in the top left cross spawn, we have Sziky taking that game 3 and taking that 1-point lead.
Yeah, I put a little bit of a twang on when I say his name. Like, it's Sziky, but I like to say Sziky. I don't know. Something about it sounds better to me.
Well, it's got more of that announcer vibe to say it that way for sure.
I prefer it. I think it bothers some people in the chat, but I mean, deal with it, guys. All right, so what's your predictions? Are we going to see a game 5, or is Sziky going to stomp some face in his favored matchup?
It's actually hard to say, right? Because, like, Sziky, yeah, he's taken these 2 games. He's playing much more confident, right? He's not making mistakes that JDConan's making, but JDConan is getting leads. Like, this last game, he was in a dominant position, and he just messed it up. So
absolutely.
My gut wants to say Sziky, but from what I've seen, JDConan can easily take these games off Sziky.
I think so too. I think he can definitely hang, and he showed some great moves. Like, even when he was in weird positions, he was still finding good snipes on the Mutalisks of Sziky and what have you. He certainly has the caliber to take someone like Sziky down. Just needs the consistency and the composure to pull it off. Again, trying to optimize his gas timings. He's probably feeling pretty good about how things started in that last game and wants to try and get a repeat of that initial game position.
Yeah, for sure. And Sziky definitely seems to be favoring this 12 pool quite a lot in this series. He's only mixed it up once so far.
Well, I'm of the mindset where if you see a player 12 pooling a lot, it means he thinks of himself as the superior player. Like, he just needs to not die and be safe against everything. And even if he is in a slightly disadvantaged build order position, he's going to turn that around the longer the game goes on. So it's usually a sign of confidence going for something like a 12 pool.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's funny because when I ZVZ'd and I got the A rank with Zerg off of purely getting 8 ZVZs in a row, and I won 7 of them, I was going 12 pool because I wasn't confident, and I just assumed my opponent was going to 9 pool speed every game, so I just had a build order advantage.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the same type of build, but I see it in the similar way I do Gateway Expand, in terms it usually indicates the player has got a better understanding of like behavior trees and what he needs to do in response to what, and just in general feels more confident about navigating the game.
Yeah, for sure. If you knew your opponent was going 12 pool, like, let's just say in an ideal world you knew this, would your response be 12 hatch?
Yeah, 12 hatch, yeah.
Okay.
It was speed first here from Sziky, by the way. So definitely going for more or less the same thing here. If it's not broke, don't fix it, says the Hungarian.
Yeah, and I feel like for crawl spawns, this is actually a pretty good setup for Sziky too, right? It's going to be very hard for JDConan to get much damage done. If he gets that faster Spire, the Mitas have so far to travel, especially here on... Well, I guess it's Pstar, sorry. But yeah, catching a Ling there. It's nice for Conan to start.
Oh, it's definitely nice. I mean, not only does it put you at a Ling advantage, but, it shuts down the vision. You know what it's like losing your scouting probe right at the start of a PvZ or something. It does not feel good to be in the dark, and especially in this matchup. He doesn't know if there's a hatchery behind this or whatever. And Conan going to try and apply a lot of pressure to this hatchery. Sziky will utilize this HP of the hatchery like a resource, letting him chomp away at it for a bit of time, and then will eventually pull some drones to help try and secure this. Has his own speed, finishing up here in just a moment. Good target fire on that drone by JDConan. Already getting a bit of a lead here against Sziky. Will he have the confidence to go all the way, or will he respect the lava advantage of Sziky? Looks like it's the latter. He doesn't want to take any chances, knowing that these eggs will be popping out additional links.
Yeah, I really like the call to pull back here, because he will start to lose out in the Ling count pretty quickly with that extra hatchery producing larvae. So yeah, I think this is very smart. He's going to fall back. He knows he's got the faster Spire. He sees that hatchery. He knows he's going to have the quicker Spire, so he's going to have a little bit of the tempo and map advantage here to start. Again, he doesn't know if it was hatch before speed or not, but luckily for him it is. So yeah, I like this from Conan so far.
Yeah, no, it's a nice way of playing. He got the drone snipe. He doesn't need to be too greedy here. Sziky trying to apply pressure. With these 2 eggs on the ramp, though, it's so hard to get up here. Definitely a defender's advantage ×2 in Zerg versus Zerg on this map. Oh, he gets 2 Zerglings of his own into the main base of Sziky. JDConan has a chance to equalize here. If he can definitely find us an additional drone snipe, he's going to be in a great position. Good shutdown from Sziky thus far, preventing that. Was really good, though, that Conan was able to get in there, get some scouting information. He also now confirms the spores, so he knows the exact timings that he might or might not be able to exploit. He could also try and flood Lings, or at least force the idea that he could flood Lings, and then that might make Sziky respect that and make a sunken as well as spores. I mean, Sziky doesn't know exactly what's in the main base of Conan. This could be another hidden hatchery build for all he knows.
Yeah, true. So we see the spores coming down from Sziky. Conan, like you said, did identify that these spores are coming down, so he can sit back defensive of those Lings, drops his own hatchery, and I imagine because we're not dropping a Spire for Sziky, Conan can kind of use these mutas for harass and just make sure Sziky is staying honest, and then maybe drawn up behind this. Is this typically how you would try to play from here?
I'm just annoyed that JDConan didn't mix it up and go for like overpool gas into 2 hatchery Ling flood, because that would actually stomp something like Sziky's going for here. But he might get a few drone kills regardless. 1 goes down. Can he find a second? Not quite. The pulls from Sziky a little bit too significant. Does have a hatchery of his own going up in the natural expansion to try and equalize. Going back in for round 2. Does snipe another drone. If he gets just 1 more drone, it's going to be a good lead. Oh no, he lost the Mutalisk on the exit. That completely threw away his tiny lead that he was starting to get snowballing. And Sziky looking for compensation. Could get a cancel on this hatchery in Conan's natural while threatening a run by.
Yeah, I mean, so far it looks like it's going pretty well for Coney. He's going to be able to defend this, which is really nice. I just hate that we lost this meta. It's so avoidable, right?
Yeah,
You just can kind of cycle them a little bit and make sure the other one takes the hit. So a little bit unfortunate, a little bit of an error there from Conan again. But getting those 2 drones is really nice. So he's forced a lot of spores. I mean, this is 4 spores, so that's technically, you know, another 4 drones dead. Now, granted, the spores do have long-term value as well, because it means that it's much harder for Conan, to, for instance, to go for like counterattacks or something if Sziky wants to fly mutas under the main. So
right. I mean,
it's definitely more comfortable when you have these spores if you're not too far behind an eco.
Yeah, I mean, Sziky needs to be a little bit careful not to throw away too many Zerglings. Like, he's already committed quite a lot of Zerglings to not achieving very much here, and he opens himself up to a Ling flood from Conan as well. This is just predominantly spores he's relying on. He can't afford to make drones and Zerglings and Mutalisk, so needs to be careful not to open himself up by losing too many of these Zerglings, does Sziky.
Yeah, about how many muta do you want before you dive on a spore? Is it 7, or do you want more than
7 is 7 is ideal for 1 spore. You can technically do it with less, with cycling out mutas, but optimally you'd rather do it with like 7 or so.
Okay. So we're getting close to that muta count where it starts getting kind of scary for Sziky. Some of the mutas are staying back defensive because he doesn't know exactly how many Lings Sziky's been pumping. But yeah, it's a little bit spooky for Sziky. He does have a big gas bank right now. The Spire about halfway done. But the thing is that Conan's also happily mining on 2 gases here soon. So yeah, he already is even. So Sziky's kind of in a bad spot, I feel.
Potentially. I mean, it all comes down to micro in Zerg versus Zerg, obviously. But I mean, yes, at the moment, Conan enjoying a pretty comfortable position. The fact that he was able to get the hatchery up in the natural and Sziky didn't really have any counterplay. He was trying to threaten the idea of a run by while trying to get a cancel on it, but Conan was already in position to deal with that. And now trying to put the pressure onto Sziky. I would actually like to see a Ling flood going up against Sziky. It would have probably actually dispatched him quite... You see how well he's doing with such few Lings. Now imagine that with like loads more Zerglings pooling behind that attack. Sziky would have struggled without making Sunkens to hold.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've definitely seen a lot of that too, where it's like, I've seen this before where Zerg will threaten with the mutas early, so the opponent's making spores, and then they're just flooding Lings behind them. They just don't have the ground to fight the Lings.
Yeah, it's definitely a good rock, paper, scissor way of getting one over your opponent. And even a safety sunken from JDConan, really respecting the possibility of being really harassed into oblivion by Sziky. And Sziky showing him why that was a good idea, because he's already sniped a drone in the natural, gets the 2 Lings into the main base before that sunken has finished up. Could get another drone here, potentially.
Yeah, this is annoying for Conan. Losing the 1 drone, having to drill a little bit, kind of a pain. He wanted to be focused on these mutas a bit more, but gonna catch an Overlord here in the bottom left, which is nice, but might get cut off by these Scourge. Okay, he was going to get away with this muta at least.
He should. I mean, looks like Sziky's trying to set up an interception vector with the other pair of Scourge, like trying to catch a Corsair or something, but the view distance is quite short on those Scourge, and he'd probably be better off trying to catch another meter. That's a great catch from Sziky. Oh, he might actually catch this other one as well. That's insane. It would have been better if JDConan actually maybe sacrificed one of his own Scourge to stop that Scourge from shutting down that Mutalisk eventually, because I think it might actually find connection. It does kill that Mutalisk near JDConan's home base, and now JDConan trying to find compensation, does manage to catch some of the Mutalisk of Sziky, trying to apply pressure. That Spore is dangerously low. He's trying to replace it with a fresh one, but it's going to go down very early on and shut down mineral mining here, as well as any hopes of securing additional Spores. Oh, Conan's pressing the issue. He's got like 9 or so Mutas here with some Scourge support coming in. I think he's done it. I think he's equalizing against Sziky in this game, Arzi. This is insane.
Yeah, JDConan definitely gonna be taking this game. I mean, we're dislodging the main base here. We're killing all of these Spores. The Spire's gonna be going down. Wow. Yeah, it's looking like we're gonna even this up 2-2, and
yeah, this is really well done.
I'm really interested to see what happens in Game 5 now, because imagine we end up in a scenario where JDConan loses Game 5. He would be kicking himself so hard over this last game.
Do you know what's crazy is that draws are actually the most likely in ZVZ out of any other matchup. So imagine if we see a draw in game number 5 and we actually have a game number 6. It's definitely possible.
How do you end up with draws? Is it because of Spores?
Spores, yeah, Spores or no more drones. So you've got Mutas and you can't kill his Spores, and he's got no units, so he can't kill your buildings and that kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, Sziky gonna try and trinkle in some of these Scourge here, hoping to get lucky, but Conan kind of leaving for a second there. It looked like he was maybe showing mercy to his opponent, but gonna come back and I assume finish off the Spire at some point.
Well, I mean, he could throw the game by like letting every single Scourge connect and not killing this Spore quickly enough and all that kind of thing. Eventually, Sziky could come back. It's just very unlikely. With good micro, even to be honest with you, like, you know, B rank micro, he could potentially come back here. Does manage to find a few connections on those Mutas with Scourge, so technically Sziky's still alive, has the drones mining minerals in the natural, eventually could stabilize the position. If there's any missteps from JDConan, he could make this work. He also could just dive onto this Spire and ignore the Spore if he wants to. It's very low.
Yeah, Conan looking very shaky. This definitely looks like nerves to me. I mean, the game could have been over. We're taking a ton of Scourge hits. It's still almost impossible to lose at this point, but
he'll flood Lings now, don't worry. He'll use Lings to close the game out, because right now Sziky's relying predominantly on Scourge and Spores to hold, so that's not very good against ground units. So with like 6 Lings only available to Sziky to defend, JDConan should be able to close this out with a big Ling flood here, and it's coming now. Drones are trying to come off the line to block off and utilize the choke points between the buildings of the Sim City, but with even rudimentary target firing, JDConan already doing a lot of damage to the economy of Sziky now. This should be the tap out move. I think that Sziky's completely done for now, and he does indeed indicate it's over. We've equalized 2-2. We are going to be seeing a 5th game, and a sigh of relief there from JDConan, maybe having some jitters and closing that out.
Yeah, it's a lot less clean than what I'm used to seeing JDConan play. I'm definitely seeing some jitters and nerves here. We're seeing in his control as well, and yeah, that big sigh was kind of I think this is awareness of he knows he's not quite performing, but it's crazy because he's looking nervous, he's looking jittery, and he's 2-2 against Sziky.
He should be proud, right? Honestly, that's like a big accomplishment to be equalized with Sziky going into a final game in a matchup that Sziky is 91% in BSL. I mean, that's just crazy statistics. Having another look now again with those numbers, it's just such a almost JDong-esque dominance in that mirror matchup. And honestly, I'm kind of proud of JDConan taking it to Game 5.
Yeah, he's been doing it really well so far, and we're going to make it to Game 5 on Metropolis here. I will say, people always say ZVZ is their favorite matchup because it's short. I'm starting to feel the same today.
Is that lack of sleep starting to kick in a little bit, buddy? I hope you're just getting warmed up and there's plenty of fumes left in the tank for you to keep chugging along. So we've got a few more great games ahead of us.
Yeah, I mean, this has actually been good for me to watch. I mean, as I'm sure you guys have noticed, like I've said too, my ZVZ knowledge definitely not quite there, but I'm seeing a lot of things that are making a lot of sense to me, so this is good for me to watch.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward and linear once you follow. Both players are ready. Those are jumping in to game number 5 on Metropolis. Let's get it started. Spawning here in top left, probably feeling pretty good about himself. It's JDConan as the blue Zerg.
And his opponent going to game 5 here against JDConan, we have Sziky. Sziky.
Sziky. He is definitely the the Z key. Yeah, he's the key to the Z's, man. I mean, it's the key that's like the furthest to the bottom left of your keyboard. You know, usually you hit it with your pinky finger, so he's the pinky Z key to me.
Yeah, he's our foreign soul key.
Pretty much. Although he does seem to be following more after Jaedong's style, especially in this matchup. So, I mean, maybe JDConan not quite the favored son after all.
All right, well, I'm curious to see if we're going to see that 12 pull out of Sziky again, or if we're going to mix it up now. JDConan definitely favoring the lair builds a lot faster, and here we go. We're going to get a 9 pull for the first time in the series, which is crazy, because I always believed this was the most common build.
Yeah, no, 9 pull is one of the most old school ways of playing Zerg. It's fallen out of the meta a lot, and then it's come back into the meta again. It's kind of a weird build, which like used to be the tried and true way of playing Zerg, and everyone started metagaming against it, and now we see it, you know, rotated in, especially gasless 9 pull in other matchups to be safe against early timings and put some pressure on. But in ZVZ, you can always go for 9 pull. It's not necessarily great against builds like overpull or 12 pull, but it really does hard punish 12 hatch.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to the question I wanted to ask earlier. It's not going to come into play this game, but is 12 hatch in base good enough against 9 pull, or is it still no good?
I mean, it's much better. I will tell you that much. Like, it's way better than just getting your hatchery killed in the natural for free. Similar issues apply. You obviously don't have quite as fast of Zergling timing, so they can target fire drones down, or even just get on top of your lava in your main that's hatching into Zerglings and get some free claw hits on those as they're popping out. It comes down to drone micro at the end of the day, but it's actually easier to defend with the in-base 12 hatch.
Yeah. All right, good to know. So we're gonna get that 9 pull lair first. Usually I typically always see the lair with the 9 pull, right? Because I just want that really fast meter timing. How often do you see speed before lair off 9 pull?
Sorry, say that again?
How often do you see speed before lair off of 9 pull?
Speed before lair off of 9 pull. I mean, pretty common, I would say. I mean, there was a meta for a while where everyone was 9 pull lair, but that was like a year or so ago. I think that's kind of fallen out of trend right now. I think that's no longer like a thing where everyone's going 9 pull lair, and 9 pull speed is slightly more favored.
Gotcha. So yeah, we're gonna see Sziky pull a couple drones here, and he's gonna have an even lane count with the extra drones here to help defend. So Conan not gonna be able to break through this. This was that 12 pull, right? So Sziky gonna push this back, and luckily for him, there is no speed coming quickly, so he's not gonna be in a lot of danger here.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit of compensation forcing the drones off the line like that, but it's not really ideal. You would like to obviously do a lot more damage. Maybe get a drone snipe like we saw in those previous games. Like on Pstar, you got a drone snipe and then quickly ran back. And that's the kind of thing you're really looking for. But you get some compensation by forcing the drones off the line, so it's not, you know, totally bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like, I mean, Sziky obviously is going to have the eco advantage again. He's going to have that extra larva advantage. So he's kind of had the larva advantage in pretty much every game outside of, I think, the one where they both went 2 hatch. Yeah, Sziky going to test up here, and Conan going to be set up pretty well to defend this. Even get the 2-on-1 fight with that Ling. That Ling on the outside's a hero.
Yeah, it is. I'm actually kind of surprised by the lack of confidence in setting up the Zergling lines. I think this is one thing players don't practice enough, and you can see that Sziky's exploiting it a little bit. He knows that Conan is not so good at setting up the tight lines of Zerglings to defend against something like this. So he's trying to get some 2-on-1 trades and open up a hole to get a run by into the main. There's more Zerglings that are going to be joining forces soon. No Sunken on the way. Oh, there's a tiny gap at the bottom. Yeah, JDConan definitely didn't practice this enough, and now he's going to wrap out on those Zerglings as well. Sziky looking to get an easy secure on this final game. There is a creep colony on the way. Has to cancel the second hatchery. This is not looking good for Conan. Sziky's in a very strong, dominant position here. There is a creep colony. It's just about to finish. It will take a long time time for that to actually warp into a sunken colony. Sziky is in the complete commanding position, is starting to take out drones, even going to be getting the kill on that sunken. And I'm sure JDConan is feeling extremely angry and disappointed. You can see it there on the cam. He is not happy at all. He needed to practice his Zerg lines a bit more and setting up tight defenses on those ramps. Someone like Sziky's going to easily exploit that.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that throughout the whole series, actually. Sziky was consistently winning these ramp battles, and it's going to end like that. JDConan gonna lose his ramp, gonna make a Sziky kill him all the way. And JDConan says, GG, I will win the next BSL.
Well, I like the confidence. I love the confidence, JDConan. You definitely have improved enough that it's a believable statement. It's not like he's just talking some smack there. Maybe he genuinely does believe that he has what it takes to go all the way. I would love to see him as a return competitor trying to showcase his skill set. But certainly if he wants to make it deep in a BSL, he's going to have to practice a few of those little niche things like setting up circling lines and what have you. It's just such a high level matchup that if you do have like one or two niggling weaknesses, any player that is worth their salt in ZVZ is just going to absolutely annihilate you once he identifies that weakness.
Yeah, I really like this from JDConan. I mean, kind of like you said, if he just refines some of his stuff, he gets into great positions almost every game. That was the first game, right? That he wasn't really in a good position. So if he just refines some things, he could easily take a lot of wins off of some very, very high-level Zergs. I mean, he showed it here with Sziky. And one thing I want to say that I really like, that I thought was kind of funny, so JDConan saying he'll win the next BSL, he has been playing on a tag called BSL21 Champion.
He's already seeing it in the cards. Maybe he's a fortune teller and he can see the future. We'll have to wait and see if that prediction comes to fruition. I mean, certainly he has what it takes to go all the way in BSL if he keeps practicing as hard as he has been. We can't really take anything away from him. He has improved a lot as a player in the last year or two. It's kind of insane, his rate of improvement. If he maintains that trajectory, anything's possible.
Yeah, for sure. And he's pretty young to StarCraft too, right? I'm pretty sure he hasn't even been playing super long, so he definitely has a bright future ahead of him.
Like 6 years.
Continues to practice. Yeah, that's very young for a Broodwar player for sure.
Yeah, I would say so. He's probably one of the most newer players we have in the BSL, I believe. I don't think there's many other people that have had his lack of experience, but he has some tenacity and he's got a young spirit as well. He's much younger than some of us, certainly here in the casting booth. I'm sure you can attest to that, Arzi. And, you know, having that fighting spirit at a young age does give you a bit of an advantage, especially in terms of how many hours you can pour into your practice. I'm super excited to see the next few games we got coming up. We've got, was it Hawk versus Bonif and Crossy versus Medina? Those matchups are going to be absolutely insane, Arzi. I'm super looking forward to that. But maybe we should go to a quick couple of minute break here, give these guys a chance to run to the bathroom, grab a beer and take a smoke or whatever you need to do. We're going to be going for a few minute break. We'll see you guys here very, very soon for some more great games.